at but you hate.
Right. So which one is better, like summer school or regular school?
I feel like the summer school is just this little package of this course. It's like kind of very condensed, and it's delivered in a way that's prone to people tuning out. Because it's such a long day of biology, I feel like regular school gives you a chance, first of all, to try more labs, more wet labs. All the labs that we did were kind of dry labs, and when you really get your hands dirty in the labs, that's when the true science comes out. So that's really just a regular school thing. And also just the amount of content. We go deeper during the regular school year. There's more of a kind of deeper understanding. We can spend more time on things, which helps you understand even more. The summer school, I love it because it's just the snapshot of the course, and students tend to do well and they enjoy it. But I would say if you're looking for like a deeper understanding of the whole course, regular school is the route.
Yeah. I know some students wanted to discover more about the functions of living organisms, but many of them were scared off by the heavy content and memorization of this study. Mm-hmm. So what suggestions do you have for the students that are planning to pursue a career related to biology?
I would say that I am not particularly special in any way. I don't have some insane memory. I don't have like a super high genius IQ. Like there's nothing about me that makes it particularly special to get a biology degree, and I still did it, so you should too. I think that's like my kind of outlook on it. There's no reason not to try something that's hard, because nothing is telling you that you can't. And some things are difficult, sure. There's a lot of terms. You spend hours memorizing it, but then you also spend time with your friends and kind of hanging out and making sure that you have that balance, because you will do well, you will do your best, and that's all you can do. And if it's enough, perfect. And if not, you find something that is. So I would always suggest try it, regardless of it being difficult. You should always try before you move on to something else.
Of course. So next is the last question of this section. So do you think there's something that high school students don't know regarding high school courses out of personal experience?
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like looking back on my high school career, I stressed more than I had to, because everything in the end ends up working out. And I did get rejected from schools for the programs that I chose, just a couple of them, and it completely devastates you at the time, but it's life. It happens. You don't always get exactly what you want, and it ended up working out so well for me, because the route that I ended up taking got me here, and I am so happy with everything that has been laid out. Like I moved away from my friends, like I kind of was at the school by myself, but I made new friends and I lived on my own and I tried hard things and made connections there. And I just feel like sometimes it works out the way that it's supposed to work out, and I was really hard on myself, but I didn't have to be, because it all worked out anyway. So I think a lot of the times these courses, they're very content heavy and they're driven for success, but if they don't work out, it's okay. And sometimes we just need to keep in mind that we'll find the route that works for us. And in these courses, sometimes they're necessary, sometimes switching routes is necessary, so whatever it is, it works out in the end.
Right. Okay, now we have some questions about workplace. Mm-hmm. So what is the difficult part of being a teacher?
I think what's difficult is that you always have to sort of be on. If you're, kind of having a bad day or an off day, you don't really have a chance to show that, because a lot of the time we try to be very strong for our students and show up every day and kind of act like everything's fine. We are humans as well. There's stuff that goes on in our lives. So sometimes it can be difficult to, have an off week and still have to just power through. It's also, I feel a lot of stress, anxiety, sadness when I have to take a day off. And I know that some of my colleagues are the same. Like we really push ourselves to be there every day because we want to show up for the class and we want to be here. And when we leave and, stuff is happening without us, we feel like we're missing stuff. So that can be difficult too. It's hard to slow down sometimes when there's due dates and there's things that are aligning on the calendars that we go through. So it can be difficult to kind of sit back. Once you get to the summer months, of course, it's nice to relax. I typically do summer school, but August I do have off. We start prepping about a week or two before school starts. So the summer months, sure, they are wonderful, but it can be difficult to turn off and then in September turn back on again, just like for the students. We feel the same stresses and anxieties going back to school in September than you do. So it's kind of this difficulty. And overall, I would just say there are a lot of due dates, there are a lot of deadlines, but that's okay because a lot of us were good students, so we end up kind of being okay with those things. But yeah, I think also just the current kind of world, which maybe we'll talk about a little bit later, things are shifting and changing, and it's kind of difficult to be in between all of that as well.
Yeah. So many things have changed ever since the pandemic hit Canada, also around the world. So how much of an impact do you think COVID has done to the world of teaching?
I think it opened our eyes a little bit about the speeds that we were taking. I think it allowed everyone to slow down when we went online. I think all of us in some way enjoyed the aspect of having more free time and having school online. Like it was this weird sort of almost like felt like this dream-like world where we were still teaching the courses, but it wasn't the same rigor. Then kind of getting back to things, it's been all at once, all the way back to how it used to be. The speed has increased. We expect a lot from students, and I feel like there's a gap now between what we expect and what the students are performing at, just because of that gap where things were online and easily accessible for almost 2 years. So I think it impacted a lot of expectations of both students, parents, teachers, which has been hard to bridge that gap.
Yeah. As a teacher, what are some pet peeves that you have during teaching?
I would say with like the student-teacher kind of relationship, if I like explain something for like 10 minutes and then someone asks, what are we doing? Oh my gosh, I'm like, I don't even know if I can say it all again. So I'll just say, ask your neighbor. Hopefully they listen to me, because sometimes I do sort of ramble on, and then at the end of it all, it's like, wait, what happened? What'd you say? I'm like, oh no. And I think that this is happening more with the electronics and the devices in the room, because it's hard to split our attention. So I find that sometimes I'm half in one ear and not fully out sinking into the brain. So that I would say is a pretty common pet peeve. And also when the whiteboard markers run out, because that is just the worst. They never last long enough, and I always need more. So that's like a constant battle.
So how's the work-based politics in a teacher's workplace?
It's more evident than I thought it would be. So before I got into teaching, I didn't really think too much about the politics of the workplace. As soon as I got in 2019, we had a strike. So that was my first kind of hands-on sort of view of what the political landscape looks like from teachers' point of view and the public's point of view. So that has also been hard to bridge that gap, because I find that I'm somewhere in between it all. And it has been difficult to kind of express the needs of our community and the needs of our students. So that has been a bit of a divide for me, which I didn't necessarily see coming. And it can be stressful, but at the same time, it's just the way that politics is. It just happens. I think there's a lot of hierarchy in this board, and also just this profession as well. So sometimes there can be a trickle-down effect from kind of our higher-ups. But as long as we're just working every day to make sure that the students have the best possible education, that is truly all that matters.
Yeah. So the last question is kind of a chilling question. How does a typical day go for a teacher?
Oh, a typical day.
You good?
We're recording, sorry. No, you're good. A typical day, I would say starts very early, especially for some friends of mine who have children. I think that it starts even earlier for them. We get to school preferably before the students. We are prepping for the day beforehand or the week before. We kind of have these like calendars set up of what we're going to do, and then we sort of adjust as we go. It's very busy. We have to be at a particular place at a particular time, like all of you. It involves a lot of kind of structured breaks, so we do have lunch and prep periods, but a lot of those lunches are full of prep, marking, or just organizing or planning and prepping labs or whatever it is. It is a job that I am consistently on the go. I am almost never sitting and like relaxing at any point, which is okay because it makes the day go by quickly, and the friends that you make along the way help you. So if you are having an off day, like hopefully someone kind of pulls up the slack for you on that day, and you do the same for them. And it's kind of nice to have that relationship between us because it really just keeps us going. We have the relationships with kids throughout the day, benefiting them however we can. We typically speak with other adults in the building, like social workers or guidance counselors or vice principals and principals, just again to support those kids whenever they need some extra support. So sometimes it involves time in the office, time in guidance, those sorts of things. It's not the same day every day at all. Every day is different in some way, which makes it fun and exciting for sure.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Just from hearing all of this, it feels like the role of a teacher seems complex enough and difficult in itself. So what makes it even more difficult is the impact of COVID-19 and the continuous development of technology, which pushed teachers to find new ways to teach their students in a short period of time, which in itself is a great feat. In a way, such teachers are what inspires students to be like them, almost like they are learning the teacher's values as well. I thank Miss for making time for our podcast and teaching us things we wouldn't have known if it weren't for her. So lots of thanks.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was so fun.
Yeah. Okay. See you next time in Career Chats, where we do all things from talking about careers and workplace gossip. Bye.